Rox D. Xebec stands as one of the most legendary and enigmatic figures in the world of One Piece. In this video, you will see how Rox D. Xebec rose to become the strongest pirate feared by even the World Government and Imu, and why he is still influential in the world of One Piece. Xebec was born in God Valley to the Davy family, descendants of the legendary pirate Davy D. Jones. Because of the family's persecution by the World Government, Xebec hid his lineage behind the alias Rox D. Xebec. The truth behind why Imu is so scared of the Davy D clan is still a mystery, but I'm sure it'll be revealed soon as the plot starts to progress with Blackbeard. 56 years ago, Rox had probably the most badass character introduction ever. He was present at the Reverie, where he killed a marine admiral and was suspected of kidnapping 5 kings. Later, he confronted Imu and revealed his clan's secret in the Room of Flowers. The same day, he clashed with the King of Elbaf, the King of Giants. The clash of their blades knocked away everyone in a 5-kilometer radius. While running, Rox expressed his intent to meet Harold again, and as you know, they did, but we'll come back to that later. After this incident, Rox revealed a large bounty from the World Government, which has not been revealed yet, but I'm sure it was the biggest starting bounty a pirate has ever received, because I can't name another pirate who caused more damage to the World Government in a single day, confronting Imu, killing an admiral, kidnapping 5 kings, and revealing that he's from the Davy D clan, which I believe gave him a bounty of at least 3 billion berries. Sometime later, Rox attacked a ship carrying the Heavenly Tribute and destroyed one of the gates of justice before fleeing. For those who don't know, the Heavenly Tribute is the limitless income of monetary payments from various nations affiliated with the World Government. Rox used these funds to support his pirate activities, which from then on were directed at everyone on the ocean rather than just the World Government. During his attacks on fellow pirates, Rox utilized the Davy back fight, allowing him to build his crew with some of the most powerful up-and-coming individuals on the sea, including Edward Newgate, Shiki, Buckingham Stussy, Don Marlon, Ochoku, and Ganzui. He was not only strong physically, but we can even say that he is the best Davy back fight player we have seen so far. At that time, Rox already had the strongest pirate crew called the Rox Pirates. 48 years ago, the Rox Pirates went to Elbaf, where Rox wanted to meet Harold and asked him to join his crew. Harold refused and revealed that he had cut a deal with the World Government. His plan was to invade and conquer Hachinosu, an island that would later become the base of the Rox Pirates 4 years later. Rox proudly stated that his life was just the beginning, and that he would defeat the Marines, bring down the World Government, and then become the king of the world. Harold was, of course, skeptical, as Rox was essentially proposing a fight against the entire world. Over the next 4 years, Rox continued to pester Harold with requests to join him, only to be rejected every time, but still, during this time, they became good friends. Several months later, to get a better view of his island, Rox blew out 2 holes in the skull-shaped rock on Hachinosu, giving it its distinct Jolly Roger-like appearance. He then turned to his crew and mentioned that he had a goal to acquire 2 devil fruits, one of which was on Elbaf, and would require Harold to fully utilize its power. His crewmates assumed he was referring to the Galeila, although without Harold, such powerful giants would not be able to be controlled, hence the need for the King of Elbaf. For me, this is one of the most interesting details of Rox's entire flashback. Which devil fruit is on Elbaf? Who are the Galeila giants? Is it true that Harold is the only one who can possess this power? We'll talk about this more at the end of the video. Back to Rox. Over the next 2 years, Rox and his crew brought hell to the world as they pillaged many islands across the seas. They mounted 16 raids, sank 76 individual ships, destroyed 14 ports and 5 towns, and even brought down an entire nation. Despite Roger's activities at the time, their actions led to the era commonly being referred to with Rox's name. In one incident, they raided Foot Colony, a temple of the International Philanthropy Federation, which is purported to be an international charity organization whose goal is to assist the poor. In reality, the organization is a sham, acting simply as a cover for its members to scam vulnerable people into thinking they are helping others. I think this event perfectly describes Rox. He's portrayed as a villain, and I understand that for a random One Piece civilian raiding such a building is an act of evil, but in reality, Rox did a good thing because at heart, he's not evil. Various marine ships appeared on the coastline after the incident. In the ensuing battle, the marine force was completely wiped out. Sometime later, Rox returned to Elbaf and had a talk with his friend Harold. Harold persisted in his beliefs, having shaved his head as a way to show his peaceful intentions. But both Rox and Garp back at the World Government laughed at him for it. Rox mentioned that Garp hated the World Government as well and would do far better as a pirate. pirate. Harold once again shrugged off Rox's attempts at persuasion, reminding him that while there may be a few corrupt individuals, the average Marine helped more people than they hurt. By 42 years ago, Shakuyaku quit her position as captain of the Kuja pirates, and she made her way to Hachinosu, where she was dutifully greeted by every pirate present. Rox eventually emerged to see what the commotion was, and was love-struck when he found out Shaki had opened her own bar and intended to live on Hachinosu. But unlike Roger or other pirates, Rox gave up on Shakuyaku easily, and after 2 years, Rox married Eris and fathered a son with her. To protect them, he sent them to live on God Valley with others from the Davy family. At some point afterward, during one of his usual stops in Elbaf, Rox was attacked by Harold. As it turned out, the 5 elders offered Elbaf a place in the world government, provided that they kill Rox, a deal that Harold begrudgingly accepted. Despite that, the duel was evenly matched, with Rox holding his own. After more scuffling, Rox angrily told Harold that they were no longer friends and that he would never again offer Harold a spot on his crew. 1 year later, Shaki was abducted from Hachinosu, and 1 more year later, the God Valley incident happened. With others in his crew interested in recovering Shaki and collecting devil fruits, Rox declared that they would go and steal the prizes for themselves. Along the way, they were confronted by Harold, who had been enlisted by the world government to stop the Rox pirates from interfering. When Harold mentioned that a world government ship was monitoring them, Rox criticized the giant for continuing to serve the government, but asked to speak with Harold in private. Rox revealed to Harold his true name and lineage, as well as his true motivation for going to God Valley: to rescue his wife and son. Harold questioned whether the world government targeted the island to draw Rox into a trap, to which Rox countered that with the world nobles on the island, they would not want Rox there, but as we later saw, it was indeed a trap. Rox then asked Harold to aid him, but the giant refused and threatened to sink Rox's ship. However, in the ensuing fight, Harold ordered his men not to fight back, so the Rox pirates heavily damaged the giant's ship and continued on to God Valley. In the end, despite their different beliefs, they still remained friends. Before we talk about God Valley, I want to review his personality to show just how much he cared about his family. As you know, Rox was a man of extreme ambition who dreamed of becoming the king of the world. His ambition and greed were untempered and endless, often making him brutal and destructive. He didn't care for who he attacked or killed, as long as he could satisfy his personal desires. But he was not conniving or unfair. Despite his violent and selfish nature, he was consistent and honest about following his own desires. According to Rox himself, he was not the type of person who would take no for an answer, just like his son. And like Teach, Rox seemed to deeply believe in the workings of fate, which also contributed to his acceptance of an eventual death. However, unlike his son, Rox was utterly fearless and never backed down from a fight. And unlike Blackbeard, Rox genuinely cared for those he respected. We saw this when Kaido suggested forcibly subduing his friend Harold and the giants on Elbaf. Rox reacted by angrily kicking and threatening Kaido. So far, we have never seen Teach behave this way toward anyone. He was always focused on his goal, but even a man like him chose his family over his ambition. I don't believe Teach will do the same. Blackbeard has a clear goal, and nothing distracts him from it. Now let's talk about God Valley. During the God Valley arc, Rox almost achieved his goal. He was able to reach his wife and son. While fleeing, Eris refused to be protected further and demanded that they split up so that Rox could fight at his full strength. She assured Rox that she and Teach would not suffer if caught, and that if all 3 of them survived, they would meet up again on Leloucha. Even alone, Rox was able to hold his ground and eventually defeat the Knights and his demonized family. Eventually, he was joined by Newgate, who wished to help as a friend, and Kaido, who simply wanted to show off his new power. As they stood together, J. Garcia Saturn and Imu appeared, having transformed into a strange, merged form. When asked by Newgate what they were facing, Rox simply replied that it was the world itself. He was eventually joined by Garp, Roger, Newgate, Kaido, and Lin in a combination of attacks against Imu, although none of them proved effective. As they regenerated, Imu pointed out Eris and Teach's location across the island, mentioning their intention to not allow another branch of the Davy family to escape. Enraged, Rox attacked Imu. However, Imu didn't even get a scratch, and used Domi Reversi on him, converting him into a demon. Rox was issued a single order: end Davy Jones's dream by slaying his remaining family, and eliminate anyone who got in the way. Luckily, the MVP of this arc, Bartholomew Kuma, used his new devil fruit to save Eris and Teach. Rox's rampage ended as quickly as it had begun, with Rox running into Garp and Roger. Before going on the attack, Rox used the voice of all things to internally beg the pair to kill him, as he could no longer control his own body. Rox shed tears of frustration as he fought against Garp and Roger, unable to stop himself. Despite the best efforts of the pair, neither side found themselves capable of dealing much damage to the other. One such clash resulted in the destruction of God Valley's remaining mountain, yet all three continued to stand. As Rox confronted Garp and Roger again, the two devised a plan to unleash their supreme King Haki at once, in order to break through Rox's own usage of it. Rox employed a unique application of infusion on his demonized body, using it defensively, similar to Armament Haki, to counter and cancel out Roger's and Garp's attacks, which were imbued with Armament Haki and also infused with Supreme King Haki, making a battle of attrition almost impossible. Lunging forward, the pair executed their plan, and their combined Conqueror's Haki attack dealt critical damage to Rox. Rox was eventually defeated by their team-up, resulting in the dissolution of the Rox Pirates. According to Loki, more than 14 years before the present, Rox had been killed by the World Government. The allegation is supported by Sengoku and by the Five Elders' desire for Rox's murder. Rox had superhuman strength from the very beginning, killing an admiral with ease and single-handedly destroying one of the gates of justice is not something a rookie could ever do. He also dominated countless Davy back fights to recruit monsters like Whitebeard, Shiki, and Big Mom. I don't talk much about his Haki because the fact that Roger and Garp, two non-Devil Fruit users who rely almost entirely on Haki, could barely overpower Rox's Conqueror's Haki already says everything we need to know. Rox was also a great swordsman, capable of slicing mountains in half, and we've seen his swordsmanship in his clash with King Harold. And now imagine if he had a devil fruit, especially one that could counter Imu's Domi Reversi. History could have unfolded in a completely different way. After witnessing all his clashes and fights against the giant King Harold, Roger, Garp, and Whitebeard, I can confidently call him the strongest pirate we've seen so far, at least after Joy Boy's era. And I'm not even mentioning how easily he defeated Garling, the champion of God Valley, and his own crewmates Kaido and Big Mom, who later ruled the seas for decades. Rox was truly unstoppable. The fact that Imu ended everything with a single attack only makes her even more terrifying. But when we talk about humans, we will always remember that Rox was the strongest of them all. At the start of the video, I pointed out one of the most important details of this flashback. As we know, Rox knew many taboo subjects, and it seems he had a plan for how to defeat Imu. Which devil fruit is on Elbaf? Who are the Galaela giants? And is it true that Harold is the only one who can possess this power? I think not. I believe it's Loki. And if you want to know more about this topic, click on the video right here. Thanks for watching. Bye.